Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grab a Cup of Knit and Chat. Today is episode 18. It is June the 22nd, 2024, and it's about 12:30 in the afternoon on Saturday here in Central Oregon. It's a hot one already. So I think everybody is experiencing a little bit of a heat wave right now compared to the last few weeks where it's been like cool and rainy. Not exactly what you would expect from a June in this area, but welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. Um, Knit and Chat is just, I'm going to show you things that I'm working on, fiber related sewing, whatever I feel like. You can grab a project, you can knit, you can crochet, you can hand sew, you can sew on the machine, just whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Sometimes, if I get to talking, I do knit or crochet during the podcast, but not usually because, as you can tell, I talk with my hands. If you're new here, that's just a little overcap of what I like to do. The channel spun off of not being able to um, get together with my friend anymore because she lives in Spokane. I live in Central Oregon, and we used to get together and have tea and knit and watch Outlander or whatever we wanted to watch and talk and just spend the day. And this is my way of fixing that. But you get to join in and grab something to drink, grab a project, and let's see what I've been up to. Okay, so as I say, I'm hot. I have my Sprite. I have my fan going. No, I'm not turning it off. It is hot. So, what have I got to talk about this time? I have a little bit of everything in my mind to talk about this time. Um, there's a couple of projects that I've shown the last couple of times that you're not going to see because one is my Jethro cardigan. The one that I'm doing in each square is the exact same colors and the exact same way. I just have all the squares done. I have them washed and blocked, and I just need to put them together. And right this minute, it is laid out for me to mattress stitch the back and fronts together so that I could pick up stitches for the ribbing and sleeves, etc. Excuse me. And I didn't want to undo that to show, and it's not really a whole lot to show. It's just a big rectangle in the back and two small fronts. So once I get going on the ribbing and stuff, then I'll show it to you. My intent is to have it done for Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle this year in August, which is probably going to be pretty hot, but the mornings here are still kind of cool. And my intent is to take the train up, and one of my granddaughters will be going to, or is supposed to go to Flock with me. This is the second year for Flock. I did not go last year because I didn't see the reason to drive 6 hours and then drive home. So this time I'm going to spend time with one of my grandkids. She's going to go with me, and we're going to kind of make a day of it. Let's see. Where do we want to start? Let's start with sock talk. Finished items, that's pretty much all I have. And that is this pair of socks that I made for my partner. The colorway did not have a name, but they're from Wild Poppy Fiber here in Oregon. I showed them while I was working on them. They're more of a Seahawk colors, with the green. And I just did a charcoal heel. That's an afterthought heel. And he hasn't tried these on. I gave them to him for Father's Day last Sunday, and he hasn't tried them on yet, but we have pretty much the same size foot. And I do a 60 stitch round, or 60 stitch round for my socks. And I picked these up and I did the cuffs, and I had gotten all the way down to past where I placed for the heel on the first sock before I realized I normally do his in 64 stitch, and I had cast these on and worked them in 60 stitch. So we will see how that works. And also this cuff, or not this cuff, but this heel, the afterthought heel, I have been doing picking up the stitches, including the pickup stitches for the afterthought heel, doing 8 rounds. Well, I've been doing 5 rounds of plain knitting and then starting the decreases. And this time I did the pickup, included 8 rounds of plain stitching. So I did pickup stitches, 7 rounds of plain knitting, and then I started the decrease. I don't know if you can really tell right there that there's a space, because to me, the heel was not deep enough with just the 5 rounds. So I haven't worn mine that I did that with for my socks yet. So I'm going to see if it works for his. I do not like having the heel, and when I put it on my foot, it just looks like the heel starts after it's about halfway into my heel. I don't know if that's understandable or not, but like it feels like the heel of the sock does not come past the heel on the foot or above it. It feels like it's just like that bullseye point of a heel, and I cannot stand that. It's not comfortable to me, and I'm still learning my way of socks. So we'll see how he thinks about those. Pretty much that's it. I think I showed the other socks that I had made. So that's all for finished objects, but I do have a couple of I have a pair of socks on the needle. This is in my rice bag. It's got little hearts on the inside, bias tape for the string. It's got a little more string than it needs to, but these are just gnomes that are all dressed up. I made that, and I also have a different color heart for the tab. And here I have a tangled mess is what I have. I have a pair of Christmas socks that I'm working simultaneously. No ends woven in or anything yet, but here we have the minis. It's a sock set. Who's this from? Sunny Day Fiber here in Oregon. And this is a fingering weight of 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, 100% happy yarn, and it's just Christmas. Sorry about the lighting. The sun comes straight in this window, and like I said already, it's just hot, and I just closed it off. The minis that came with it were just in a separate little thing with no no name on them, but it's just this tealish green and this red. And I chose to do each cuff with, I think it was like 5 rounds of red, 5 rounds of green, and then another, or maybe 10 rounds of red, 5 rounds of green, and then 10 rounds of red. And then the heel will be green and the toe will be red. But that, again, 60 stitch socks. I've gotten on this one, I've gotten 20 done. On this one, I think I've gotten 30 rounds done. So, yeah, this is a tangled mess. I just work on one, like, this one had 10 more rounds than this one this morning, and I just sat down and was listening to my audiobook and did 20 rounds on it, and then I went back to this one and I'll do 20 rounds and then go back, just back and forth. Or I might decide that I'll work it up to the heel and then switch over to the other one to work up to the heel. Because of the issues with the heels, it's not really an issue with the heel. It's just more or less, I'm irritated with the heel. That's the rice bag as it's done up. When I do toe up socks, I like to use a Flegel heel, and I think there's a pattern where you can use that with the cuff down socks. And to me, I don't know, it incorporates the heel a little better, and I liked that on the toe up socks. The only thing I didn't like about doing toe up socks, I think I talked about last time, is the fact that the cuff, when I would bind off, would be too tight. And being silly, I didn't think about using a larger needle. Because when you're new to like sock knitting and stuff, you don't think about those kinds of things. And I'm going to go off on my tangent right now because the last couple weeks, I have heard YouTubers say in their podcast, obviously. Well, obviously you would do this, or obviously you can do that, or obviously this and that. It irritates me. And I just watched one this morning that I watched the Crazy Sock Lady, and she had mentioned a channel, and I'm not going to say the channel, although that probably just gave it away. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And I go over and I watch, and this is the first time that I've watched this channel at all. And I went over there because there was something that I wanted to do. And when someone says, obviously, I don't care what it is. If it's the first time that I'm watching you and you say, obviously, I'm like turned off right away because of the fact that you automatically assume that somebody knows something. And to me, it's just not right, because I might be watching your channel because I know how to knit socks, but I may want to learn different things about knitting socks. And when you sit there and talk to me and say, well, obviously, that right there cuts it off, because if it was obvious to start with, I wouldn't be watching you. Or if I'm watching a tutorial and they say, obviously you do this, hello, if I knew that, I would not be here. So that's my little rant. I'm done. Okay. Sorry. I have a lot of pet peeves, and that is one of the biggest one. That when you ask somebody a question and they say, I don't know. Well, if you don't know the answer, or if you don't know, I can understand you saying, I don't know, but let's figure this out or something. It's just the way I think. Sorry. And that came from having teenage boys that you would ask them why they didn't do their homework, and they would always answer, I don't know. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you're a mom of boys, you get that, and I think some girls do that too. Okay, so the next thing on my needles. What is that? Oh, Kay Litton, the crazy sock lady. I love her channel, but she gets me into making things that I really have no use in making. But here we go. Here's a cowl that I started after watching her have so much fun with hers this past week on Instagram, etc. Now, this is not blocked. There's a little eyelet rose, and there's a provisional cast on. Um, this is the Wolop cowl by Lynette Bozeman on Ravelry. I think that's how you say her name. Apparently, it looks like she wrote the pattern for mini skeins. She did it in mini skeins. It was an advent pattern. The crazy sock lady is doing it in mini skeins, and they're changing every so often. I don't have that many mini skeins. I do have some that I intentionally purchased. I have some from Row One subscription, which I canceled this last month after 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, but I may talk about that later. Um, and each section, as you see where I have the eyelets, the pattern changes throughout, and each section starts a new mini skein. So that's not how I'm doing mine. That's why mine looks kind of different. I have some really pretty sock yarns that I do want to make some hats, but I don't think that I would want them to be hats. And I I don't know. I don't wear a lot of hats and I don't wear a lot of cowls, but I can see where I would like to start, especially because we go to the beach and we go clamming and stuff. And here on the West Coast, when you're at the beach in Oregon or southern Washington, there's lots of wind, and it can be an 80-degree day, and you still need a jacket if you're at the beach because of the wind and it's cool. So that's why I'm trying out this cowl. It's a lightweight. I like that because I don't like anything real heavy around my neck. Um, it's one of those that you knit in the round and then you knit it for so long, so long, so long, and then you put it together where the provisional cast on is. Not going to say anything else about the pattern other than it is addictive. I'm not using mini skeins. And I say apparently it was written for the mini skeins because that's what she did and that's what others are doing. And it's not real clear in the instructions that it's knit in the round. I had to really look at pictures and look at what the crazy sock lady was posting. And then I could see that it was knit in the round this way. And then put together at the end to make like a big loop, which I honestly thought when I first started looking at the pattern that it was knit in the round and then just pulled over the head, but that's not the way it is. So we'll see how I like it, but I like making it. And I am using my Cascade Yarn Heritage Prints. This is color number 127. It's superwash merino and nylon, so it's their sock yarn. And I don't know if you can see it, but that's how it works up. And this is how it's working up here. And I'm not changing colors in between. I'm not doing it to pattern. I'm doing 23 stockinette rounds eyelet, 23 stockinette rounds eyelet, 23 stockinette rounds eyelet. Mostly because I don't have to change the yarns out and I can use an entire skein. And I find that very intriguing, as I have some yarns that I think are just gorgeous and that I would like to use, but I don't really want to use them as socks. And that yarn is so soft. That Heritage Prints is so soft, and there's some really cute colors. And I have a Christmassy color, and I was thinking about that. And then I thought, well, what if I did the same idea in a pattern, but just made it wider in the round? So then I can just slip it over my head and then just make it really long. Because I tell you, I would rather have a hoodie type thing. And if a cowl is long enough and wide enough that I can just pull it up over my head and ears and then throw my hoodie up over on top of it, perfection, just perfection. So that's my thought about the next one, because I'm going to see how long this knits out to. And if that's an option, I may add stitches to this and follow the same premise. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with this is I think it would be cute without the eyelets and just doing the purl row. There's a purl row somewhere in the pattern. I highly suggest looking at the pattern, getting the pattern. It's a really quick gift knit. If you have some sock yarn and you want to do it the way that I'm doing it, because I don't have the minis that they use, it's perfect, because you're not having to tie ends, you're not having to weave in ends. Sorry, I just saw my seam ripper, I thought, and it's not my seam ripper. I've been looking for my seam ripper all morning. What was I saying? I get so distracted so easy. It's perfect if you don't have to weave in ends, tie in ends, whatever you do to deal with your ends. It's really cute. And you can do it without doing that 24th row in something different, I think, if you really wanted to. So, moving on. Let's see. We did the Father's Day socks. I showed you the cow. I'm going to show you the sweater I'm making for my partner. So, this sweater is also on Ravelry. I'm not very good about linking pattern links and stuff in the description, so I'm going to try to remember to do that. What is this called? I don't really have... It's called Fisherman's Raglan. It's a unisex pattern, and it's on Ravelry, and I'll try to add a link. I don't think you can really see much from that picture right there, but there you go. I'm doing this in Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool in the oatmeal color. you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's 465 yards, which is 227 grams. It's 100% wool, and it's medium weight or worsted weight. So I have a sleeve. I have the starting of a cuff. These are 9-inch size 7 chagus. And I have the body done up until it says to stop and make the sleeves. So this is the pattern right here. It's not a cable. The back is just plain stockinette. This is just a slip stitch type pattern that does that. So I guess you would call that a mock cable. I don't know. Anyway, not a fan of bottom up sweaters. So this is a first kind of for me. I've started a bottom up sweater before and got aggravated. I dropped a set of needles out of there. Sorry. US 4. It says to use a 4 for the cuffs and the ribbing, but on the sleeves, they're sucked in by a 2x2 ribbing, and he didn't find them very comfortable. So I switched, and this is knit on a size 7, and the body's knit with a size 7. So I did the cuff and sleeve body with the size 7 needle and not the size 4. But I did do the ribbing on the body with the size 4, and that's why it looks like it cinches in so much. But this is essentially for him to wear when we go to the beach or when he goes fishing, to have that warmth. And then if he kind of likes it, we'll see. I think the next sweater that I make for him is just going to be a classic raglan, cozy classic raglan or something like that. We'll see how this one works first. Now, let's see. What else? And no, I didn't say who that was a pattern by because it's not written on the pattern. Because on patterns like that, sometimes a lot of the patterns, when you go to print them out, they have this gorgeous picture on the front, and then they have all this stuff in the middle, and then they have all these schematics and all of this other stuff. And I have that on Ravelry. All I have to do is just pull it up. It's saved on my computer. Excuse me. I can look at that if I need to. I just want to print the instructions, the materials, the instructions. That's pretty much all I print when I print patterns, because I don't see printing 6 pages more than I need. And a lot of times the very front page that has that really pretty picture on it has nothing on it but the picture, the name of the pattern, and who it's by. So a lot of it I don't have. Sorry. Next in knitting is in my cute little basket here. It even has a zipper top, and it's fold up. And if you want to know, it's just a bamboo basket that I found on Temu. And yeah, the straps pretty much hold it together. So here I'm making the staple from Joji Locatelli. There's a picture. It's got cute detail, but that cute detail is the way it looks on the picture and the way it looks whenever I tried to do it, it looks like a see-through, it's more see-through than I like. And I want to be able to wear this top to work. So if it's something that I'm wearing on the weekends, I would not mind it at all, especially during the summer. But I wanted this to be a transitional sweater. It's sleeveless, or a transitional top. Because it's sleeveless and I can wear it under a sweater or jacket or something, I can wear it all year round. I didn't do that detail. Now, what I have done so far is the back. There's some short row shaping, and then you pick up on the top of the shoulder and you do the front. So the back is knit flat, and then whenever you pick it up, it's knit flat to the armhole shaping, and then you pick up the shoulders and you knit back and forth flat to the armhole shaping again for the front, and then you put them together, and then you're going to go in the round. So what I did is where it said to um, do that pretty detail stitching down the middle of the back, because it goes down the middle of the back and it goes in the same spot down the middle of the front. Where it said to do that, I just kept it stockinette stitch. I love Hohi's patterns, and this is the shape of top that I wanted. So I just modified it by just doing the straight stockinette. I'm also using the patterns written for a linen. So I'm using Patton's linen. This is the color Sage. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can, because I can't. It's a DK weight. It's nice to work with. It's soft and nice to work with. I didn't realize that Patton's had a linen. No plug, but I found it on joann's.com. It was reasonable price because it takes me 5 of these. It's supposed to take me 5 of these because I'm a big girl. This is 100 gram, 275 yards. This is also 65% cotton and 35% linen. So it's called Patton's linen, but it is a cotton linen blend. But I have a couple more tops that if I like the way this fits, I am ordering more. They have some pretty colors. I would like a little blushy look color, but if I was to put, like, this is a blush color thread. If I was to put that next to my face, it would disappear. I mean, I darker than that, but anyway, I'm digressing. That's also on Ravelry. The Staple by Joji Locatelli. I've spent a couple of days this last week working on that and gotten that far. I do not like working flat knit. It's been an issue because I really want to do some cardigans, and I'll get about that much of it done, and I'm like, nope, excuse me, I'm done. And I lose interest. Joji, I like the way she does the back with short row shaping and gets it to a certain point and then has you pick up on the shoulder and bring it forward and get it to that same point and then join in the round. I just wish I could make something like that where I'm starting with the neck and just joining in the round. It would make it so much easier for me. Because that's my preference, I think. It's just all about what you like and what you don't like. It's just a preference. That's all. Now, what else do I have on here? I have some sewing that I've done. I have fabric to make more of those little rice bags that I showed, and I would really like to do those. Um, Something that I have done is there's a YouTube channel. Her name's Jerry Bellini. Um, she does all kinds of stuff. Cute little channel. Sorry for the rattling. I just have a huge bag of embroidery thread. Um, I also got this the other day. The Essential Companion for Every Embroiderer. This is really it's not what I was looking for. It's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it's great if you don't embroidery. It's called the Embroidery Stitch Companion by Colleen Bavos. And it kind of takes you from it does show you different, like this is a shading technique. It shows you how to shade petals and stuff. Um it also kind of tells you how to choose your needles and your threads and your fabrics, and um how to if you're going to leave something in a hoop to display, how to cover the back, which is really great. And it has different stitches, like a laced running stitch. There's different stitches in there. That's all throughout the book. This is like I mean, it starts about halfway through the book, and then it goes on to show, like, there's some more shading. Um, Great little book, but not what I was wanting. I want just a book of different stitches, and hey, here's what you do. Anyway, I digress. My cute little needle keeper. Jerry Bellini on YouTube, on her channel, has a series of videos called Dot a Day, where you start with, let me see if I can grab some. Here's one. You make you a little cardboard template and you cut out some squares, and then you make another cardboard template and you use your iron and you fold them over. And I have this one pinned. You fold them over to make them a different size, and then you baste that, and then you sew on these circles. You applique circles onto squares. That's what you're doing. That's the whole premise. You're making the squares out of the fabric. I've chosen to do this one out of 100% cotton flannel, and the majority of mine are going to look kind of tweedy. And then you make a template for circles, and you cut circles, and these are the ones that are just cut, and then you applique the circles on. Well, you can see on this one that I didn't really applique the circle on. I sewed the circle down, and then I roughed up the edges, and I have that frayed look. And that's what I wanted to do, is the frayed look. And then you do embroidery embellishment stitches. That's where the book was supposed to come in. I know how to cross stitch. I know how to back stitch. I know how to run stitch and baste, because the run stitch is almost like basting. But anyway, so I just you do a dot a day, and you make a square, you do a circle, you applique on the circle, and then you embellish it in a day. As you can see, I'm not doing that every day. I'm happy if I get squares done or if I get circles done. So my intent, and this one to me is just really cute the way it turned out. The colors may not be the best with the background, but I like it. I don't care. My intent is to cut squares. That's where this one comes in. Is to get all my squares cut, and then I have a setup here where I have some that are ironed, and then I have my quilting clips on them like this. So I've already ironed them. I have them folded over because they will pop up, and depending, I think she was using cotton or woven or whatever. I'm just using what I wanted to, but I'm just clipping the edges down so they stay that way. And then I'll go in and I'll invisible baste, because that's what I did on these. I invisible basted so I don't have to take it out. Um, Here's some that I've picked. These are some 3-inch circles that I got from Etsy for like yo-yos or whatever. But I'm cutting them down to where they'll fit the square. So I like the color of that one to that color of square. And I like the color of that one to that color square. So I just pinned the ones that I want to go with what color. Like that one's going to go there. And then I'll cut the square or the circle to what I want, which is either small or I think I did 2-inch, 1.5-inch, and a 1-inch. But I'm not turning them under, because whenever you do the applique, you're supposed to take the edging and tuck it under, and then do your little running stitch around, or whip stitch it down, or however it is that you were taught to do it. I'm not doing that. I put the circles on, and then I sit there and I tease the fabric to get the frayed, the frayed edge. And now I have some that I have embroidered. So I've never been good at French knots. So this is the one that I did this morning. I'm learning though that as long as whenever you're doing your French knot, I get the whole wrapping around the needle and going next to it. You see how this one's kind of loose? I figured out that this one turned out better because I kept it taut all the way down. And that's what I was not doing, is keeping it taut. This one, the circle had a tree pattern on it. So I just took some black thread and outlined the tree and took the branches off the circle a little bit. This one was bees. So I just made stitches throughout. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just put the needle and thread in there and just started stitching. So there's no rhyme or reason which bees fly around like that. This one, the pattern is the flowers, and then the middle of the flowers was just like little white circles with a black dot in it. So I did French knots in the circles, and I used a variegated thread. So yeah, my French knots are good. And then a fly stitch. I just made stitches all over because whatever. And then this and the flower here and the tree are my three favorites so far. So you've got the tree, you've got the flower, and then we've got a heart. This is one of my favorites. These are my three favorites. I wonder, should I just take these materials and just cut a bunch of different size circles and just use just them? No. But what I did was I just outlined the heart that was in the middle. It had a tan outline around it on the fabric, so I just used the tan thread. And then it had these little real light green leaves going in the heart. So I just used some green and outlined that, and a French knot at the bottom. I didn't bother doing the star or the circle there, but that's what that looks like up close. So yeah, it's just something different. Like I didn't have 1,000,001 projects going already. I started this. This is a bag that I have my. Oh, I just dropped. So I have circle templates, and I have a template coming from Amazon that I ordered this morning. Um, These are my square templates. Mine are not the same size as hers, so if you want to look at what she did, you can go on and do. I think she did a 3.5 inch and a 3 inch template to where she ended up with a 3 inch square. And I'm doing a 4 inch cutout template with a 3.5 inch fold. So that's what I'm doing. And then I have different little scrap pieces that I've cut into circles, and they all look kind of different depending on what I'm doing. How I choose is I just take the circles that I have cut out, and I have my squares cut out, and I just lay the circles on top of the squares, and I'm like, nope, don't like it with that one. Nope, don't like it with that one. Ooh, I like it with that one. And then these are 3 inch circles that I got from Etsy for, I don't know, $3.50 for 30 of them. Just pre-cut 3 inch circles. So I'm just cutting them to what size I want, because if I put the 3 inch circle next to my 3.5 inch square, it's a little too big. And sorry, I dropped circles all over. And I do have, I just went on Etsy and looked up pre-cut fabric circles. People have them on there to make yo-yos with. And I have some 1 inch and some 2 inch ones coming. I don't mind cutting out the circles myself. My issue is time. Just that's really it. I mean, I say it over and over. I showed this basket last time. That I work 45 minutes away from where I live. So it's about an hour's drive to work every day, an hour's drive home every day. I work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And it's just, by the time I get home, it's like 6 o'clock in the evening. And that's if I don't stop at the grocery store, because the little town I live in really doesn't have a whole lot. There's two grocery stores. They're both expensive because they know there's nowhere else to go unless you drive 20 miles. Um, and they don't, it, it's just unreal. There's like no, you basically have to go 20 miles to get anything in any direction. So, because I work in the city, I I usually stop. Sorry for all the shaking. I usually stop after work and pick up things and then come home, and then that way I don't have to go out again. Although I do go into the town every now and then, like once a month or once every other month. I I will be going to Black Sheep Fiber Festival on the 28th of June in Albany, Oregon. So that'll be a trip into town. Um, I can't wait to go. That was the first one. I mean, I've been to a fiber festival, trying to fiber fusion in Monroe, Washington, um, a couple of times, and I loved it when I lived up near Seattle. And the first one that I went to here was Black Sheep, and that was last year. Yeah, because the first year that we moved down to Oregon, we moved in July, so I had just missed it. So I didn't go in the fall to the other one, and I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, Black Sheep is next weekend, and I'll be headed there. Let's see, what else have I got? Oh, just I have a really bad itch. Sorry. The other thing that I've been up to is I wanted to sit down and work on my Snuggly Bear quilt because I haven't gotten very far on it. And I came into the craft room last night and I sat here and I had a lot of scraps out because of the fact that I was making those circles. And I sit here and I've got this big, huge box of scraps sitting here, and they're kind of like overflowing here and there. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these? I don't know what to do. And I sat down and I was like, I've seen on Instagram and YouTube and all this other stuff where somebody just takes one piece of scrap and they sew a piece to it this way and then they cut it to one way and all of this other stuff. So I just sat down and started sewing scraps together. So what I started with doesn't even look like what I started with, but this is it. And I see now it's kind of off up at the top right here. But that's okay. We can fix that. Because you know what? It's just a scrap quilt top. I just picked up a piece. I picked up another piece. This started out as a huge piece. Um, and I just started sewing them together. And they were like at this, and they were like this, and just all really wonky. And then that's what this looked like. And then I took it and I tried to square it up, which, as I said, this one right here looks like it's not so square. So I don't know what I did there, but that's what I did. It was just all over the place. And then I squared it up. And then what I cut off of the one side, I started adding. So this is all pieces that were cut off this to square it up. And then I sewed them together right here because that was the the line that was going to connect them all because of the way that they were sticking out. And then I made kind of a rectangle out of it. And then I'll start adding pieces to this one. And then I'll square it up. And then I'll sew that to this one. And I don't care how I'm picking these up. I'm just reaching over and picking up, as you can tell. And because of the way that they get squared up and cut off, they never stay where you put them to start with. I mean, just look at that. But that's what I started doing. No rhyme or reason, no nesting seams, no perfect this or perfect that. I'm just sewing because I have a box of, I mean, that's just a handful. I have scraps and now they're falling everywhere. But that's what I'm doing. And it's fun. And I don't have to follow a pattern. I don't have to follow rules. I'm just sitting and sewing. Okay, so the last thing is I've had a couple of shawls in my drawer years, probably 12, 13 years now. I think I've only used them once or twice. I like shawls. I like the idea of shawls. I'm even making one, but it's like a blanket type. And the hat that I'm trying to make with my hand dyed yarn, I haven't touched it in forever. I I had it at one point. I had seen that I had messed up on it. It wasn't turning out the way I wanted it, so I ripped it out and I've restarted the smaller size because I thought I had more hand dyed blue yarn than I did that I had dyed back when I dyed a few years ago. And I was making the large hat and it's the quill. But I did not have as much as I thought I did. So it wasn't turning out right. I wasn't liking it. The middle is where I had a certain colors of blue that looked really good together, and they were the darker blues. And then I didn't have enough to finish, and about that much of it was a lighter color, and it just looked awful. So, what I was doing is I ripped all that out, and I'm making the smaller one, and the middle's still going to be the darker blue. So, hopefully, I have enough for that. I think I will because of where it cut off in the large one. And with the smaller one, I didn't have to cast on as many stitches as the larger one, and I don't have to do as many rows up. So I think I'll be okay for the small one. But that being said, I don't like, I can't really say that I don't like shawl pins. Um, I I just don't like wearing a shawl that's going to hang off my shoulders, that I can't keep on my shoulders. I When I wear a shawl, I like to wear it like the old grandma. I want it over my shoulders and wrapped down around my arm, to a point, and I don't want it getting in the way. That being said, this morning, even though it's hot out there right now, it was cool at 6 o'clock this morning, and I took my coffee out to the porch, and I took my audiobook, and I took my Wolop cowl, and I was like, you know what? It's not it's not so cool that you need a pull on cardigan type sweater. I have lightweight cardigan type sweaters. I don't want all of that heat on the body. I just want something over my shoulders because it's cool out here enough that my tank top I'm wearing now would have been too cold, but a sweater would have been too hot, and I really wish I had that lightweight shawl. So I have this shawl that I've had forever, and it's just a rectangular shawl, store bought. It's got these little loose stitches right in here that look kind of like drop threads. Like if you were doing a knit one, it would be drop stitches. And it's cute. I love it. I've hardly ever used it. So when you throw it over your shoulders and you have it like this, it was okay, but it was aggravating me because I'm trying to knit and all this other stuff. So what I did was I brought it in, I put it on me, I held my arm up, I pinched it, I pinned it, and then I brought it to the sewing machine and I sewed down the seam, the two seams on both sides. It's got the fringe on it, which I don't know if I want to cut back or not because I kind of like that. But if you can see it, I just kind of pinched it where I thought it would look good. And then it does have a tag in it, so I turned it where it would be, the inside out. And I just started where I pinned it, sewed all the way down, doing a back stitch at each end. And then I turned it and I sewed back up. And I used the hems that it had, or the seams that it had on the edges, and I sewed on those. And then now I have a shrug. And then if I really wanted to, it's folded in half, so it still looks good. I can, use it as a regular scarf if I want to. But that was my ingenious invention because I don't want to. If you watch Nitty Natty's channel, Love and Stitches, she just made a shrug that's really cute, but it comes to like right at the top of the bust or right mid bust or something like that. Excuse me. And it's got long sleeves and it's got a thumb hole, and that's cute. It is so cute, but I don't like where it sits. And I don't know. I just don't think that it would look good on a older, larger woman. But this is practical because in the mornings lately, when I do go to work, I want that light jacket on, but I don't want that heft over my chest and back. So this is so simple because I just like that. Let me see if I can turn and you can see it. It's in the back, right where it would be if I was just had it laid over my shoulders. It's in the same spot, and I just sewed it up and made it arms. So that's my white one. I have a black one here that looks like it would not be warm at all because of the way it's made. This is the way it's made. It's a real wide, checkered, holey type shawl. It's got fringes on both sides and the end. And again, I would love to wear this, and I think it's gorgeous as a wrap. I don't know if you can see it. I'm hoping so. I think it's just gorgeous as a wrap. But again, I mean, how am I going to wear this as a wrap and it be somewhat functional for me? Because if I wear it like this, like I would, I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's warmer than you think it is, honestly. So I was thinking about doing the same thing with it because it's got the solid pieces here. The only difference is it's got these drop threads right there. And I don't think that would work. But I don't know. Really cute. I really like it. Like I said, it's warmer than it looks. Or maybe if I was to do it, I could lay a piece of solid material behind it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I really love the white one now that I've now that I've fixed it with the sleeves to it. And it's really cute and it's comfortable. It's not too hot. You have something on the back of your shoulders and you have something on your arms, but it's almost just right for those summer mornings that are not, the only thing with this one is I'm not sure if I want to trim that fringe. And if I did trim the fringe because it's got these knot details in it, it's done like that, which is really cute. I would probably just I probably wouldn't cut that much off. Maybe about two right there. And just leave maybe a half an inch or so. I don't know how long these pieces are. They're about 2 inches, so I could just cut it to an inch in length. It just depends on how the functionality of it is. But I think it would be cute because it's that creamy white color and it's functional and I can wear it in when I go into the office in the mornings in the car. I don't have to run the heat, but I don't have to have on a coat and I can wear it into the office. And if you work in an office, we call them cubicle farms. Um, if you work in one of those and the air is going in the summer, sometimes you get too cold, sometimes you're still too hot, but either way it goes, then you're able to have something on your arms without being overdone. Okay, I went on and on about the little wrap that I fixed. I went on and on about a lot of stuff. I hope you enjoyed our visit today. Um, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I dressed coolly so that I could put things on and show you. I showed you what I'm working on. I didn't show you everything I'm working on because I'm not showing you things that haven't had any progress. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you do what you like. I hope you enjoy yourself and stop and smell the roses and take care of you. Bye.